Hey, welcome to the Kink'D podcast. We're your hosts, Mika,
Frankie,
Kyra,
Alex,
and Crystal.
here to sort of detangle the kinks.
wait, like combing? No, we're not combing out our hair. We're deconditioning.
Unlearning the ideas that were imposed on us by others.
Sharing our stories as Black and brown women navigating the kinks of life, from personal growth, healing, and friendship.
Even the things too kinky to talk about in the office.
We're kinked as fuck.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us on the Kink'D AF podcast. I'm super excited because today we have some very new guests to the podcast episode. But this is very special to me. This is very close to home. You guys have heard that both Kyra and I have some acting under our belts. We do some theater performance. And currently, I'm in a show called The Curse of the Puerto Ricans. And I am so excited that my friends joined me today. We have Kendrick Dunn, the marketing director. We have Marta Torres, the director of the play. But we also have Rosa Fernandez, the playwright. So we are super excited to hear from all three of you. I'm going to go ahead and get started with Kendrick. And if you can tell us just a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, what you love, all that kind of stuff.
All right, so my name is Kendrick, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm a native. I have my bachelor's in marketing, and I'm the new marketing director at the Bishop Arts Theater Center. I love the arts, and my passion is to help artists spread their message to the world. So yeah, that's what I love to do.
Thank you, Kendrick. All right, Marta, tell us more about you.
Uh, Hi, y'all. I'm Dr. Marta Torres. I am an educator. I am a racial equity specialist, but continuous lifelong learner to continue to systemically change the systems that we all live in, right?
Mhm.
I am an art educator, so art administrator, museum education specialist. I'm also a theater, like I say, enthusiast. I've been doing theater since I was 13 years old. And I am the director of Curse of the Puerto
Yes, you
Ricans.
are.
I am in Dallas, Texas, via Calle, Puerto Rico. That's where I call home. I'm an island girl. That's where I grew up. I consider myself Mexican and Afro Latina because that's just when you look at me. If you ever had the pleasure, I am very much an Afro Latina. So I'm so happy to be here with y'all. I'm so excited to be sharing space with all of you and with Rosa,
Yeah.
who wrote this
Yes.
beautiful, beautiful play.
Oh my God. And it is. Thank you. Rosa, please do us the honor of just telling us who you are, what you do. Tell us everything, Rosa, whatever you want to share.
That's a lot of pressure, but I'm going to try my best.
No pressure.
So, my name is Rosa Fernandez. I'm a theater artist. I went to Brooklyn College for my theater degree. And I feel like I have to say this now. It's like I never graduated. Um,
Mm,
I can speak to that because I had a kid while I was in
yeah.
college. And so I started doing theater. We relocated to Buffalo. So I'm based out of Buffalo, but I was born and raised in Brooklyn. Um, and yeah, and I'm trying to find my way in this theater world right now and trying to find if there is a place for me here. But I write stories that I feel passionate about. I write for the people I want to see on stage. Um, and I try my best to write from my experience. And yeah, so that's who I am. I think I covered everything.
Yeah, you did. You did. You definitely did. So, the title of this episode is Curse of La Familia. And basically, what we wanted to talk about was not just like the premise of Curse of the Puerto Ricans, but how that story or that theme or the topic in Curse of Puerto Ricans really permeates in so many other amongst so many other communities, right? The intersectionalities, how we can talk about just those commonalities, like what is that story. So I'm in the show, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about the show. I want you guys to tell me about the show. So let's pretend that I'm not in the show, Marta and Rosa. What would y'all tell us the Curse of the Puerto Ricans is about?
Well, I don't know what it's about.
Yeah,
So,
so let's
shit,
go
tell
ahead.
me.
Yeah, shit, let's learn a little something. No, I know, but I'm just saying. Go ahead. Rosa,
Mhm.
you wrote the play. what inspired you to write this play?
Um, I wanted to write a story from the Latinx, Latina, whatever we're calling ourselves these days, perspective, that I didn't feel
Mm,
like I was getting a
mhm,
whole lot of in, just looking for plays that spoke to my experience, spoke to the experience that I grew up with. Um, but also, this is really hard to sort of articulate. I think I wrote
mhm,
this play thinking that it was going to be one thing, and that's always what happens when you're writing something. The first draft, you think it's the story,
mm.
you think this is the story, and then you get closer and closer to it as you start revisioning the piece. Um, yeah, and I wanted to write a story about a family that I knew.
Mhm.
There's a little bit of my family in there. There's a little bit of my husband's family. There's a little bit of every type of family that I've encountered, right? And I
Mhm.
wanted to speak to that experience. And it was my first play, so I think that when you start out, you're like, I got to write what I know. And I felt like I
Mm.
knew Latino families. I was like, this, I know this family. So that's what I wrote. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I appreciate this is why I don't want to know what it's about, but I'm going to learn today because I feel like I'm going to know how this plays out cuz my family's Puerto Rican and I'm afraid I'm going to spoil it. I'm like, I read the first paragraph. I know how
But you
this
know
ends.
what, Frankie? You don't. The thing is, it's not limited to just the Latinx or the Latina
Mhm.
community.
True.
Not just Puerto Ricans, not just
Mhm.
Dominicans, not just. It is a story that a lot of us share from different cultures. And it's basically, there are so many themes and so many nuances in the play. Survivor's remorse, right? Codependency. You know, I don't know, guilt. What else? What would you
Mhm.
say, director Marta? What else do you say is represented in this play, in this
Yeah.
production that we want to make sure we amplify as we tell this story?
So like it's just it crosses cultures. It crosses the boundaries of just the Latino, Latina, Latinx community. It really, and I think that's what attracted me the most to it when I read it. Beyond the fact that it's an incredibly beautiful, poignant story written beautifully, um,
Mhm.
when I read it, I could see it. I could see it, and I could see myself in it. I could see my family members in it, and I knew instantaneously that that was going to be true for whomever saw this play. They were going to be able to find themselves one way or the other, however you identify as, because it
Mhm.
crosses that, right? We've had the experiences, the experiences these characters have are experiences that all of us at one point and another within our family dynamics have experienced. Um, in the sense of how we interplay with each other, how we find ourselves among our family, how we break away from our family to fully come into ourselves. And I believe that's such an intrinsic and important thing that we have to do. We have like I moved 2,622 miles across the ocean away from my family to fully come into
Mm.
myself.
Mm.
And when I read this beautiful play, I was like, yeah, people are going to resonate with that, those underlying themes of family and family dysfunction, because we all have family dysfunction. Um, because we carry generational trauma. We do pass it on. That's why when I write Curse of the Puerto Ricans, I'm like, what's the curse, right? What
Right.
does this entail? And when I read it, I was like, oh, I see. I see. I'm like, ooh, that's Curse of the Mexi-Ricans. That's Curse of whoever reads this is going to
Yeah.
resonate with them. So all of those intersectionalities, right, of identity and
Mhm.
like defining who you are as an individual, I think that's a universal story, and it's the glue that holds this story together.
Mhm. And without telling too much about the story, because the
Hmm.
show opens this week, we're super excited.
Yeah.
And Rosa's going to be joining us here in Dallas. Super excited.
Yeah.
We didn't say this. Okay, so Rosa, you said this is your first play that you
Yeah, this
wrote.
is the first one that.
So snap, 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 snap. Kudos to you. So it's like, wow, I would have
Hmm.
never imagined this was your first play. Go ahead. What were
No,
you
no, no,
saying?
no.
Because I
I
was
was just,
talking.
I was just saying, yeah, it was. That's it.
Yeah, so this is the world, this will be the world debut of this production. This is the first time that this story is being told, but it's not the first time that this story is been seen. It's not the first time that anyone can relate to what's happening in the show. But also, what I really appreciate, and I just have to commend Kendrick and Marta for this big time, because this is a time when Puerto Ricans are really visible in Dallas. You all know I'm half Puerto Rican, half black. I've lived in Dallas since 2005. I came to Dallas at a time when people would ask me like, "What language do Puerto Ricans speak?" And I'm like, what? What the hell you mean?
The
What
shit was
language do
wild.
we speak?"
It's like going on a scavenger hunt to find pasteles out
Right,
here.
exactly. And so,
And the
and what's
markup is insane.
hello. And so what's happening is this show is taking place during a time where there is a lot more visibility, or where we're trying to have a lot more visibility, and this show is giving us that. Like, this play is giving us that. It's giving us a space. It's giving us a platform to tell a story. And so I wonder, Kendrick, like, how is this different from other productions that you have worked on? Like, how is this particular story, and the work around just making this story visible and more what's the word that I want to use, just in marketing, just making this story, just giving it traction. How has that been for you, considering Puerto Ricans are not like people that you see commonly here in Texas, that you know of? Like, in Texas you really see black, white, and Mexican. You don't see a whole lot of other
Yeah,
Hispanics.
well,
So
I'll go ahead and say this. So this is actually my first production with the theater. So I'm new to the game. But whenever I came in and I had the opportunity to have a blank canvas and really put all my ideas out there, I was really scared. I was nervous because I was like, there's
mm,
the Puerto Ricans, like, hey, I don't know anything about,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know that culture. I don't know, that history. Like, and my thing is, my goal as a marketing director, I always wanted to remain authentic, especially when it's dealing with culture and history and story and putting all those things together. Being authentic is like the main aspect for me, because when you
Yeah.
have authenticity within the story, within the marketing materials that you tell or that you put out there, it allows people to connect with it better, and it just feels more real. Um,
Mhm.
but it's been an amazing journey. I've learned so much. I've gotten to connect with different platforms out here in Dallas that are for the Puerto Rican community and have different events, and like the Puerto Rican Association of DFW, like what they do for
Mhm.
the Puerto Rican community is awesome. And just getting able to connect and hear these stories, um, and being able to create authentic material has been awesome. And it's been
Yeah.
great. And even learning, like, we have the artists that are going to be showcased in our gallery in the lobby, and learning that there's not a lot of Puerto Rican artists within the DFW, and knowing that we got two of some of the greatest ones in here.
Oh my
Like,
goodness, yes. Their
yeah,
work is amazing.
I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
this is so cool. And I didn't.
Can we I'm sorry, Kendrick. Can we say their names? Who are the artists?
Yes, so it's Noen Rivera and Magali Smith.
Okay.
Yes, and there's also, you can find their work on Instagram as well. You just go to the Bishop Arts Theater Center Instagram page. You'll be able to see that we uh, tagged their Instagrams in there.
Yeah. Thank you. So, we don't want to focus too much on just the show, right? But I just want to say the premise of the show, and you all can help me out. Rosa, you wrote the play. Correct me. Marta, wherever I'm missing, because sometimes I need help with my cues, Marta. So, so, I just want to say, so, like, while we're talking about the curse of the Puerto Ricans, we're talking about the story of a family where there are three daughters. First, well, let's say more than that. There's a family where there's a mother, a father, three daughters, and a potential fiance or a fiance. We don't know. We'll see. But in this story, what I love about my character, the way that she's introduced or the way that she's described, is Millie, the one who left. And that is a story that really resonates with me because particularly in Hispanic culture, but also in Black culture, and I can't speak for any other culture because those are the two cultures that I'm familiar with. A lot of times, in a family, it is your responsibility to stay and help the family. So like the next generation helps the previous generation and so on and so forth. Sometimes breaking tradition by leaving is frowned upon by the family, or it could be supported to help elevate the family. In this particular story, we're talking about three different sisters who have three very different lives, excuse me. They take three different paths, right, as far as we know. And my character is Millie, who leaves, and she goes on to pursue her education, to pursue her career, and she's just kind of like out there doing her thing. She's not really like, you know what, whatever was going on at home, like I'm leaving that behind and I'm ready to start something else. And then there's Julia, who's kind of stuck. Like, what do I do? Like, the family really depends on me. I'm somebody that the family needs. I'm somebody who is like instrumental in this family. I can't go. I could never make a decision for myself. Yes, she has dreams. She has dreams and she has goals and she has desires, and we don't know yet if she's going to fulfill those. She's going to see those things come to fruition. But that's the premise of the story, right? What am I missing? What am I missing? What am I not saying? Who's not represented in the story?
Well, I think that the story specifically of uh, what substance abuse can do to a family is present in this play,
That is
and
important.
that's definitely something
Mhm.
that I thought about a lot while writing this play, and how it sort of, in some ways, can almost rob aspects of your culture because you can't be in the same room as your
Mhm.
extended family a lot of the times.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you
yeah,
speaking to
and so that
me.
Right.
You
Yeah.
are speaking to me.
I didn't I wasn't allowed to be at my uncle and aunt's house alone.
Say more.
Couldn't. I had to bring my brother or I could not. Theo, couldn't do it. Mom didn't trust him. So it was weird. Very weird. Yeah. But you
Crystal.
still
Mhm.
visit them. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
hey Theo, I'm
And
just here for arroz.
and then
Yeah,
add
as like
no,
Go ahead.
just like adding the layer of being in la diaspora, of being away, like removed geographically from that anchors you in your culture. And then when you add substance abuse and family dysfunction and all of these things on top of that, it creates, it's almost like a bubble, right? It's a very interesting break between what could have been, what is, and what could be. And I
Mm.
think that's something that's always underlying this script is what could have been, what could be, and everything in between, right? If these things had not happened, if their family had played out differently. And for me, like I left Puerto Rico 6 years ago. Like leaving Puerto Rico and being away from Puerto Rico and growing up between two cultures, it's really there's this longing that never ever goes away, and it's for something that you don't even really know, right? And it's
Yeah.
because you've never really been submerged in it in that way. So I think that's such a strong undercurrent to the story too, when you add up all of those elements up, and I think it's so present, but so quietly present throughout the whole entirety of the story and the narrative.
So, Martha,
Yeah.
can I
yeah.
ask you what sister do you identify with the most?
Hmm.
Like out of all of the three, which one?
Oh gosh,
That's a
I'm
great question, Kyra.
uh,
I want to hear it. Look, I want to hear the answer.
so I'm a mixture. I actually identify very, very closely with Julia and with Millie. Um, I think I'm the Julia that leaves. Like I'm Julia
Mm-hmm.
if she left.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Okay.
because I'm very much the glue, I feel like a lot of the time. I'm the eldest daughter of a Latin
That'll do it.
family,
Hmm.
That'll do it.
period. And
That's it. That's
Say
all you
less.
need, right, Rosa?
Credentials.
and
So,
there's
so
yeah.
Rosa, you wrote it. So here's my question: which
Um,
sister are you? Because I'm sure
yeah,
you
so
wrote this
so it
from
so it's really funny
kind of your
because
perspective.
Kendrick actually reached out to me and was like, "Hey, can you do like a blurb about why you wrote it?" And I was like, "Kendrick, that's so odd. I don't know why I wrote it." And I kind of
I'm just writing
and I kind
something.
of had to examine why I wrote the play to begin with, and in that sort of examination, I realized that I had told myself, "Oh, I'm just going to write this play as like a, the Latinx experience, like the living room drama that we see with the, we see the couch and everything, but it's like it's a Latin family, so it's going to take place in the kitchen." I told myself that that's why I wrote it, and then one of the like things that my husband mentioned, he was like, "Oh, I heard that like if you write something very specifically for one person, that it's going to make it even clearer and more specific." And so I took that, and I had a friend who was like in a really like toxic relationship at the time, all that stuff, and I was like, I'm going to write this very specifically for my friends. And then
Mm.
comes like the pandemic happens, and I'm like evaluating my whole life and all my life choices this year, and I realized I was like, oh my god, like, oh crap, like I wrote this play for myself. Like I was not ready to
Wow.
hear this message when I wrote it,
Mm.
but at the
Hmm.
risk of being TMI, and why not? Because Rose is feeling a little messy
I
today. I'm
mean,
going to be
hello.
messy AF. Um,
Go
I'm not
ahead.
on speaking terms with my family
Yeah.
currently, so it's very
That's kinked as fuck. That's the purpose of the
Yeah.
episode. So, I mean,
That
the
is
yeah,
podcast. So,
yeah.
please
totally.
go
It's
ahead.
right now. I haven't spoken to my sister since November, who baby was raised was based
Mhm.
on. Yeah,
Oh,
that's my
wow.
sister. Baby is my sister. I'm
Hmm.
definitely Julia.
Yeah.
Nene is based very, very much on
Mm.
my husband and his experience. You know.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, I so is the reason, since we're there, is the reason. Okay, I wrote a dramedy and it's based off my sister and it's some fucked up shit. And I put that shit in the closet. And this some fucked up shit. It makes my mom look bad, makes her look bad. I try to change the names, but they just all rhyme. And I said I can't put this out there, and I've hit it. It's finished. So did they break up with you since you published it, or break up with you? Or it's
no,
always
it's really
it's
funny
almost like a
because
breakup.
my mom actually went to go see a
Hmm.
reading, and so for different reasons I'm not talking to my family, but like my mom went to go see a reading of it
Hmm.
when it was done here in Buffalo, and I mean I think that my mom is just so like that she like did not. I was just like, yeah, this is just like a
She's
toxic mom,
milagros.
but I don't think I realized at the time how much Milagros is like my mom. And then
Oh
this
my goodness.
I literally had like this like, when you're having that conversation with your therapist and they say something where you're like, "Yeah, your mom is not nurturing." And you go, "Wait, what?"
But she's my
You're
mom.
right. Why didn't I know that?
That
Yeah.
part, yeah.
She's a monster. You're
Yeah, I
right.
kind of unfortunately had one of like, I've had several of those moments in therapy, and it took me a really long time to get there. So I don't think that she was aware at the time, and I
Hmm.
think she's just so like, like not paying attention to anything. My
Hmm.
sister actually, it's really funny. She never ever has seen any version of this play. I have sent it to her. She's been invited to readings. She's not gone. So she actually doesn't
Hmm.
really know anything about it, which is fine because now, and she maybe
Wow.
never will.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was one of those things where we're very close for a very long time, and then you get to a certain point where you're like, no, 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 these are my boundaries. And again, Marta,
Yeah.
exactly what you were saying. I'm the oldest, and I feel like we carry so much
Hmm.
sometimes, and we feel obligated to stay. We feel like it's all gonna fall apart if we leave, and it's really difficult,
Hmm.
but sometimes it's like you got to put on your
Hmm.
oxygen mask first.
Facts. Mm-hmm.
Listen, but what's funny is I'm the oldest and I'm the complete opposite. My sister is the one who still talks to the parents and tries like, call your daddy. I'll talk to your mama. And that's, that's we got the
Mm.
same mom, same dad, but that's how we talk. And I was as soon as I hit 18, I was gone and I did not look back.
Mm.
Wow.
And I don't regret it. Um I,
No.
because why? Because I refused mom, dad, sister, cousin to hold me back, hold me down, and keep me in a
And you
box.
didn't lose them.
I didn't, but I found myself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right now, I'm still going through like the triggers that my family put me through, or why I behave the way I behave, and trying to build a relationship with my father because I had told him, I was like, why do you keep bringing up this shit when I was little? I don't remember. And I remember that I don't remember because it was traumatic.
Mm.
So I don't remember a lot of my childhood because I, as
Yeah.
my therapist say, forgot that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, why don't you ask me how my day is? And so my dad has these fond memories of a child that the child didn't have fond memories of, but he wants to bring that up because it's a great memory and I'm his little girl. But I'm like, why don't you get to know me as an adult and we can talk about that? Because what you're saying, I don't fucking remember it.
Mm.
I wasn't having a good time.
That child doesn't exist
That's wild.
anymore.
Wow.
That child
No.
doesn't exist. I'm healing that child. I'm mothering
There you
that
go.
child. I'm
Yeah.
being the mother that I needed to myself currently.
Inner
Mm-hmm.
child work.
I am doing.
So
Shout out for
She
wait,
be
shout
is
hurting.
out.
that cathartic for you, Rosa, for writing it? Inner
Oh
child
my gosh,
work?
I'm doing.
Putting that
I've been
all
doing
that
so much inner child work, but it's so funny because like this is coming at such an interesting time because again I like wrote it, rewrote it, did revisions on it, and then I put it on the shelf. I remember I even have like an
Mm.
Instagram post where I was like, I'm putting this on the shelf for like a while now. So it's I'm actually going to be going into it pretty fresh this week. I didn't revisit it because I was like, no, I want to like,
Ooh,
I just want to
wow.
hear it like it's like for the first time. But I've spent like the
No
last
pressure.
year doing a lot of like inner child work, and the problem with the inner child work. It's wonderful and it's necessary, but once you get past it, once you do that work, you start going into the angsty teen, the angsty,
Mm.
angry.
You don't think of the whole
Yeah,
process.
and I was
Mm-hmm.
never I was never that. I wasn't the angsty teen ever. And I think that that was for a very specific
Mm.
reason. I don't think I had the space to be when I was younger. So I actually find that now that I've been doing all this
Mhm.
work on myself, I'm like I'm a very angsty teenager now, and I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
there's this angst that's coming up and this resentment that's coming up about my parents specifically.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
difficult. It is cathartic, but I can't even tell you. I'm so excited to get to Texas and to hear this play again and to hear it with I just
oh
love
my
your
God.
voices already. I was just like seeing the promos, and I'm so excited about the promotional videos that were coming out. But like, I was like, these are the voices I had in my
Okay,
head. It's
Kendrick.
so cool. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kendrick, I'm not gonna lie, kudos and flowers to you. That trailer was organic, authentic.
Yes.
All I heard was Mika's fucking voice in the back the whole fucking time. I was like, wait,
Wait,
where's everybody
but
else?
wait, did y'all hear me channel Janet? What have you done for you lately?
You love you some Janet. You
Lightly
love you
got
some
me.
Janet.
Yeah.
I do.
You cut for me lightly.
No, I
So I'm
appreciate
You're
that.
so
go
I
ahead,
dope.
had
Kendrick.
so
Like,
much fun making that trailer with y'all. Like, just honestly watching y'all be in y'all's zone, be in y'all's moment, like it nearly brought tears to my eyes. I get emotional about stuff like that, like seeing other people be great at what they do. you know,
yeah.
like I don't know, but it was just so amazing, and it seemed like y'all enjoyed getting into that character. You know,
Mhm.
so I was glad to just be able to bring that together. Y'all rocked it. Y'all rocked it,
Thank
really.
you, Kendrick. Yeah, I've never seen a trailer for a play. That was
Yeah,
Right.
me
brilliant,
And
either.
bro.
it's and the
Like,
way that
whoa.
it was done too, right? Because it's not you're not using text from the play, which I think is like, who cares, right? For me, what was cool about the promotional stuff is that you could tell it's like you guys did the work. You guys know your characters. Okay, now just ad lib like a quick thing, a little blurb about what your character's feeling in this moment. And I was like, oh, I love this because this is like, and it's the actor side of me too, right? Because like I'm first and foremost, I was an actor, and I'm like, I love this. This is so like geeky theater stuff that I'm like really into. So really,
Yeah, no, when
really
Kendrick
lovely
came
to
with
see
that.
that. I'm so
Oh,
excited about this production.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
when
so
did
was it
you?
lines from the
Oh,
play?
I'm sorry. What?
So the trailer wasn't lines from the play.
No,
No,
no.
no,
Oh.
they wrote their own
We
monologues.
had
Yeah,
to
it was super
freestyle it.
like
Oh
That's
wow.
when when Kendrick came to me with the idea, like, I want to do this. What do you think? I was like, absolutely. Because again, also complete theater geek. I'm like, that's exactly what every actor wants to do, is to just dive into their
And they
roles and
did. Look,
really
babe, like I'm not.
own it. And it was incredible.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Everybody figured out how to reach within and bring out that character. Because there's somehow that character exists inside of us for real. So we figured out a way to bring that out and talk about it. And I'll be honest, like this, we went through a whole pandemic. So in 2020,
Still going.
in 20, yeah, you're right. We're still in a pandemic. For those of you who don't know, wear your mask, okay? Get vaccinated if you're not. Do what you need to do.
Wash your hands. Stop touching
Hello. Do
people.
what you're supposed to do. Okay, but wait.
garlic and ginger.
So much.
Turmeric. Add turmeric. Okay, wait.
That
Jesus.
prevent monkeypox though.
She said Jesus. Add Jesus.
Jesus,
Look, I've been
Holy
Piccolo.
Spirit,
All of
and
them.
and onion. Boil it, drink it with apples.
Okay,
Cinnamon.
No.
you know what? I appreciate that. We will include a recipe at the end of the episode.
Look, un
Oh yeah,
jarabe
you
de
did give me
miel.
that recipe when I had COVID.
Yeah, I
Un
wanted to
jarabe un
say,
jarabe de miel.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You definitely need honey. But I wanted to
Honey.
say that when I auditioned for the play, it was in 2020, and it was on my birthday, January 26th. However, it was also the day that Kobe died. So it was like my birthday, but Kobe died. My birthday, but Kobe died. My birthday, I'm in on audition, but Kobe died. So it was like really fucked up. But also, I did not know if I was Julia or Millie. I didn't know. I was like, am I Julia? I have been Julia in my life. I have been the person who stayed and didn't do what she wanted to do and let time just go by and did what the family needed to, what the family needed and sacrificed in the way that the family needed without the family sometimes realizing that I wasn't okay, that I wasn't making sound decisions, that the only people I was thinking about was them and never myself. And they benefited from that, not in a malicious way maybe, but in a way that was very like, you know whatever she has going on is her business, but right now this is benefiting us. But then there was a time when I left, and when I left it was very Millie like, where the family resented me, and it was hard to, even to the day. It's I read that what you said, Rosa, resonates with me about your little sister not speaking to you, or you not speaking to your little sister anymore. My little sister is a cousin, who we don't really have a great relationship, and we used to. Like, I taught her how to ride a bike, I taught her how to read. We were so close. I did her hair all the time. Like, we were so close. But when I left, I don't think she understood why I needed to leave, how important it was for me to move on. And there is a line where, I won't tell the whole story because y'all need to come out and see this play, but there is a line where Millie says, like, I thought if I didn't leave then, I never would. And that's exactly where I was. If I never left, I never would. Because when I had the energy to leave, it was like the only time that I ever felt that energy. And if I didn't take advantage of that, it wasn't going to happen. And I think even to the day, I would still be there. And I would not know who
Now or
I was.
never.
Yeah. And so it's very sad, but it's also very liberating. I miss her. I grieve the relationship, but I would never I would never trade the experience of living my life and knowing who I am and learning who I am for having a relationship with someone who couldn't see, the value in, you know, leaving, because
Yeah.
the family
And
basically just
and
resented
it,
me. They didn't speak to me for a little while. They didn't speak to me. It was really hurtful, but
yeah, it is. And in many ways, like that's you breaking the curse. That's you breaking that generational pattern. Um, and it has to start with someone. It has to start with someone, and it's hard when you are that first initial break in the
Mm-hmm.
chain.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though I left because of being a firstborn daughter in a Latin family and everything that entails, I love my family.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, but there has always been a lot when it came time to put down boundaries. And this is how far you can come into my private life, and what I do and what I don't do does not concern you, and it's none of your business. To establish us was really difficult. However, my mom was the first break in the chain of her family. So for her, she kind of was always in the back burner going like, do you
Mm.
be independent, go see how the world will treat you for yourself. And it's something really cool that I appreciate my mom and my dad both very much for, is that they were those breaks in those chains of their family, of that generational curse. In terms of, they were always like, yeah, go see the world, do what you need to do, because we did it so y'all could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so important that in every family there's that one person who goes, you know what, it doesn't have to be the way it is just because it's the way it
Yeah.
is.
I love that part.
Yeah.
In this story, like, not to give everything away, because I'm not giving anything away, you don't even know what happens. Does she or doesn't she? And I think that question mark of, is she the new start for her family? Is she the one who's going to be the one who, you know what, I need to follow Millie's lead and live for myself a little bit? And will she or won't she? I think it's very important, and it'll make other people think about it as they sit in the audience and watch it, and like, oh,
Yes, and there are lines from Baby that sting.
yes,
And
oh, absolutely,
because it's a very much
absolutely.
like Baby's a little sister for y'all who don't know. And it's very much like I hear her voice that I just told you about saying, well,
Hmm.
you left when we needed you the most, you know?
Hmm.
And it was like, bitch, if I wouldn't have left, no, I would have never left. Like, I wouldn't have been good
Hmm.
for anybody, not even for
Hmm.
myself. I didn't even want to be here. Let's
Yeah,
be real. That's
yeah, no, and that's
TMI.
another
That's
beautiful
TMI. Like, I did not.
and that's another,
Mhm.
oh no, sorry, it's just, that's another beautiful thing about this story. It's, no character is in black and white. There's no villain.
We live in.
There's no bad person. It's shades of gray. And us as human beings, we are shades of gray.
Mhm.
We're capable of wonderful, beautiful, amazing things. And we're also capable of doing horrible and terrible things, right?
Mhm.
Against each other and ourselves.
Mhm.
And in the story, you could clearly see all those shades of gray and everything in between.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because some people are gonna take offense to Milagros, some people are
Oh
gonna take
yeah.
offense to Millie,
Mhm.
to Baby, to whomever, because there's a little bit of that gray
Mhm.
in every character. They're not defined as good, bad,
Mhm.
right?
They're just
Not even
experiences.
Julia
I
herself.
just I
What'd
just
you say,
wanted
Let's
to.
Frankie?
just experience
Oh,
it.
sorry.
Yeah.
Can I ask a
What'd you
quick
say,
Yeah.
question?
Frankie?
I
Oh
just
no,
wanted to
Rosa, go
elevate what
ahead.
you said,
Go ahead.
Marta, because like the idea of like breaking the curse, that heavy, and that's the
Mhm.
Está
idea of
heavy, está
like
bien
Heavísimo.
pesado.
Very
you
heavy.
have
Está
to
bien
do
pesado.
something sort of revolutionary to be able to break the curse. Is I think that's it's not for people that aren't ready, right? Like you have to be ready. You might not do it this lifetime, and that's a hard pill to swallow. But like I feel like especially
Hmm.
like our generation is
Hmm.
having this reckoning. We have movies like Encanto. We have movies
Hmm.
like Turning Red. Just
Yeah.
recently, one of my favorite now made it into the top five
Mhm.
favorite
Hmm.
movies of all time. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
My
Oh, I
favorite.
haven't seen
I
Yes.
that
took
yet.
Kyra. I took Kyra.
It's so
It
good.
I
Is
took,
that a
and it
is.
was
movie?
my second time. It
It
is
is. As soon as
God's
I saw
work.
the trailer, I was like,
It's a
Wow.
and you know
I
movie?
need
when
to
you
watch
when
it.
your ancestors are like,
Yes.
you have to watch this movie. This is for you. This is for you. I have kids, so like
Yep.
I remember watching
Yes.
Everything
Yeah.
Everywhere All at Once. It completely destroyed me. But somehow I could see
Hmm.
myself in the mom, and I could see myself in
Hmm.
the daughter. And then I watched it with my 13-year
Hmm.
old, and we were just crying. We were just crying
Yep.
together.
Yep.
Oh.
Listen, I was
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
talking to
Mm-hmm.
somebody about that
Yeah.
movie, and I was like, I've never cried for some rocks that were just, it were rocks. They were rocks,
Yes.
and I was
For
bawling
those
my eyes out.
rocks.
And I was bawling my eyes
I
out.
was like,
They
those
said
rocks are
Kendrick
nothing.
is
too.
dying.
So good.
They said
They
nothing.
said
Look,
nothing.
I've never heard of this movie.
Neither
So I'm
have
like,
I,
what?
but I'm gonna
it's
watch it.
He
it's
actually just
incredible,
Is it on
and like
Disney Plus?
I don't.
Nah.
I'm not sure of
Disney
streaming
Plus,
yet.
cut the check.
and
I
it's
just
7
mentioned your
minutes
name.
longer right now.
They re-released it in the movie
So
theaters.
it's-
I think. Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
see it.
It's
There's an
so good.
alternative ending too.
It's so good. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this story and this topic and these themes are not limited to people who are just people who leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're also very revelatory about people who are in the
Mm.
family, who are not doing things the way the family does things, who are not
And who stay?
traditional,
Yeah.
who decide to go a different route, maybe, but I'm still here. So see me because I'm still here, even if I'm not doing things the way dad did it, or mom did it, or the bishop, or whoever. So I want to
I
Mm-hmm.
was
make
like,
sure that
that's
I
me.
create, that I open up. Yeah, okay. So I want to make sure that I open up space for that. So I really want to hear from y'all. Like, where does this resonate for you? Where does this land for you, Kyra?
So I don't, so it's very, my family dynamic is very weird. So my mother's Jamaican. You know, you have that the immigrant parent, all of those things. And I feel like all immigrant parents say the same thing. You're either going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. Like, that's the only place you can go, and that's it. Um, with my sister, she became a lawyer. With me, I think because my sister did those things, I was a little bit more freer to explore the way that I wanted to. Because I went to school, I did all of those things, I did the things that I was supposed to. And like currently, right now, I still live at home with my mother because I'm just like, who's going to pay rent the way that this world is set up? And you have an entire house that you live in by yourself on your own. Let us, like, I don't, and I always say that I feel like African Americans are the only people that kick their children out at 18. Everybody else is like, everybody else is like, no, stay,
Facts.
like, stay, build up before
Nah,
you.
I think it depends on the
my mom
family.
tried to
But
marry me off at 16.
But she didn't
just
try to
like she
kick
got
you out
married
on
off
your
at
own.
16.
She tried to give you to someone.
She did it. She kicked me out at 12 years old. That's why I lived in the Bronx. Well, it's a unique experience.
let's let Kyra finish.
Go ahead, Kyra.
I was like, Frankie, your
It's
life
not
is a
all a
unique
blanket
experience.
monolith.
Your
Right,
life
the whole thing.
is
Go
a
ahead,
unique
Kyra.
experience. But just
My
like
bad.
at that, so like now I'm over 30, don't have kids, and I love my mother because she doesn't pressure that thing. But you know, other family members do. But I'm also like, I know what it looks like. Again, my older sister, I know what it looks like when someone prepares for their kids. Before my sister, I didn't know that that was a thing, that you could prepare to have kids in order to give them all the things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at what that looks like when somebody was mentally, physically, emotionally, financially prepared to have a kid. And what the, like, my niece and nephew are 17 and 15 now, and the smartest, like, most just intellectual kids I have ever met, because they have been given every opportunity, because my sister made sure that she was available to do that. And I'm like, if I can't raise a kid like that, I don't want it.
I
Don't
don't
want it at
want it.
all. But I'm here still in my family doing the things. I just do them differently. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm still a part of the family. I'm still in this thing. I just don't I don't subscribe to the norms of what everybody else thinks the things are.
That is bold because you stayed and still did things your way. I knew that I had to
Mm-hmm.
leave to do things my way.
Mm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
but maybe that was also a
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah. See, I left to do things my way, knowing I could have stayed because my parents would have, my family would have been supported if I had stayed. But it took for me to leave to figure out that the only person holding me back was me. I was in my own bubble. And the safety of routine and the safety of other family members and the safety of going down a town where I know each nook and crevice, right? That's my whole entire life. My high school was across the street from my college campus. My college campus is right next to my
Dang.
middle school. And behind my middle school was my elementary school, right?
Girl, you had to go.
My world,
That's too
my world,
close.
and And even though I traveled and I was blessed with having parents that were, they traveled in the military because they were both in the military. So they traveled extensively and they made sure to, you know, show us the world through books, through movies, through art, through a little bit of traveling. Even though I had that knowledge, it was very much like book, like in you something you see in a book in a page. And once I left, and I was already 25 years old, I was halfway grown up because now I'm 31. And I'm like, you was a child, but anyway, I was halfway grown up, and when I left, I was like, oh, so this is the world, and this is what I have to offer. And it's been like a journey in figuring out who I was outside of my family, and there was no one holding me back, but literally myself, and I couldn't see that being amongst them.
So that kind of goes into the question I was going to ask earlier, and I think Martha, you kind of just answered that. But everybody else, I want to know, like, what was your breaking point? Like, what was your moment where you were like, "Ha!" And I got to go, because if not, I'm gonna end up on the
Yeah.
first 48. Somebody's gonna die. Like,
So
Woo!
precipitated
Jesus.
what precipitated my break? I had a mental breakdown, and it's a full mental breakdown with like no joke. It was 3 a.m. in the morning, writing my master's degree dissertation, and realizing that I never wanted to leave Puerto Rico, and I'm gonna get a little emotional because I never really wanted to leave. Um, but I realized I couldn't stay because what I was trying to do for myself, I couldn't really survive and thrive in Puerto Rico, right? I do artwork. I do, um, I'm an educator, and that's not something where I could really thrive in Puerto Rico. So I came to that realization at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, what am I going to do with myself? I never want to leave here, but I can't stay here. So in a fever and one of my panic induced moments, I looked up internship opportunities for museum education, found one in Dallas, applied that same week, and out of the 200 applicants, 9 were chosen. I was one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you were supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like 2 months later, I had packed all my belongings from my childhood bedroom, and I was out, and I was here.
Wow.
So
You just left your books
I
because I heard you say
I
that.
can relate to that. That shit is so powerful. I I had a nervous breakdown, but also I was bleeding out my asshole. And I was like,
Mm.
I got cancer.
What?
Yeah. I went to the emergency room. And then
That
What did
escalated
you say?
quickly.
oh, I'm bleeding out my asshole.
Okay.
Fix
Just make
it.
sure.
I got cancer. Do the test. Do the things. And he said, after an assessment, you're actually depressed. I said,
I was like, you
what?
had hemorrhoids?
Wow.
I was internal bleeding because I was stressed. And
Yeah.
after therapy, I was like, I want to leave. I've been in like a serial monogamous after I was married at 18 and then divorced and then constantly in different serial monogamous relationships. And I was like, I want to leave the country. I read the book The Alchemist and I was floored. The Alchemist is the
Oh my
shit
gosh.
how did you get
Yeah, I
leaving the
did.
country?
I read that at least once a
I was
year.
like, but so
by Paulo Coelho.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you? So for me, every time someone says like I read The Alchemist and I decided to leave the country, I'm like, but the point of The Alchemist was
Right.
that all the things that you needed
To
were
come back.
okay.
We're home. And that's why whenever I left the country, I saw my family. I lived with a host family in Sarkatuelo underneath Russia, and all I saw was my dad and my mom. And I said, we're all the
Hmm.
fucking same.
Yeah.
I went home with that knowledge like, I can be tolerant of someone's ethnicity,
Hmm.
sexual orientation, gender identity.
Mhm.
We're all doing the same. We have the same problems.
Hmm.
And humans were their first language was emotion. And if we learned that we need to speak with our emotion first, I think we'd be better off as a better tribe, a better family. But we don't know how to do that as a culture yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, so yeah, the whole point of the book is to go home. And I went home appreciating my family and giving
Mm-hmm.
them grace for all the fucked up things they
Mm-hmm.
did not know how to do. It's just if
Hmm.
they were if we go ahead and just base it off environment didn't set them up for success anyways.
It's crazy.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to leave home to find your way back home to yourself. Ooh, whew, a word. Does anybody else want to share? Because I haven't heard from Kendrick and he's a little quiet, and I want to hear from
Yeah,
Kendrick.
I actually do want to share just like because I've been like hearing everything that y'all been saying. I'm just like I relate, I relate, I relate. Uh,
Yeah.
Me too.
but the way that I've found my connection to this story, and it just like dawned on me whenever I realized that this was a self discovery journey for Julia, and just how she's getting pressures from family, and she's also feeling this pressure um, from Nene. I had to take a look at myself and feel like, okay, well, damn, like where have I gotten those pressures from, and where have I felt like I needed to find my voice? And that was me understanding my sexuality, understanding who I am, and coming to terms with that I'm gay, and having to as a kid, 12, 13 years old, and really dealing with this, like my family knowing that it wasn't right or it wasn't acceptable to them, and the whole, how religious thing, how does this play in?
Hmm.
Girl, it was exhausting, honey. It was
Yeah.
exhausting.
I mean, at that age, I can only imagine.
And that, honestly, by the time I hit 13, that was my breaking point. I think that was the start of my journey, because I realized that, I don't think I was, maybe I was depressed. I don't know, but I know I felt just so low. So yeah, I would consider that depressed. Um, and I just felt so out of hope. I felt hopeless. And really all I could think back was, I know it's kind of strange though, because the thing I feared the most when it came down to religion was honestly the thing that got me through my depression. Um,
Mm.
and I prayed. I literally just prayed, and I felt like this overcoming peace, like just come. And then from that point on, like it was just like, look, you're good, bro. Like, stop tripping. But, everybody has
Mm.
like a different thing of what they may think that a higher power may sound like. Mine is like my best friend over here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, bro, stop tripping. Like,
Mhm.
you're good. Like, I love you. So I think from that point on, I was able to kind of start
Mm.
finding some some stability within who I was. Now it took me some time to kind of come out, and so I didn't that didn't happen till like my senior year. I think this happened. Oh, it was like the end of my junior year. So it took some time to really gain that confidence. But I got it, and really I got it whenever I left to go to school and college. So it took me leaving home.
Yeah. When you got to be on
Yeah,
your
it took
own.
me leaving home in order to really find myself, and I like
Mm.
didn't look back. And it's been the most freeing, the
Mm.
most powerful. That's when I really realized being able to find love for myself is when I realized how powerful I am as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And
Love that for you.
I appreciate it, man. Like I'm just so thankful for it, because I get to share that love with other people. And
Hmm.
yeah, no, it's amazing. Like I just, whenever I look back at it, I'm just like, dang, like I've came a long way.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for it.
Hmm.
And to be able to share that with Julia is, because she's finding her voice through the story too. And I was just like, wow, like this just really resonates, and this is a powerful story, because anybody that can go back and think about, where they came from and everything that they've been through, where they are now, and
Hmm.
standing up for themselves, and putting themselves first, like it's strong, man. It's a powerful message. It's powerful. Rosa.
Kendrick,
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
I ask you? I guess, like, what did you do to put yourself first? Like, how did you put yourself first?
um, it was really understanding the fact that like people's opinions are not, they're nothing to me. I just had to get over that fear of fearing of having fear of other people. Because everybody's a human being. We're all people. I'm me. I'm myself. I'm Kendrick. I will get nowhere in my life if I feared other people. That's what really allowed me to build that confidence within myself and understand the power that I had within myself. So yeah, I would say that it was really getting over that fear of other people. Now, of course, what helped was getting away from my parents because, you know,
Yeah.
mom and dad are always gonna be mom and dad. So
Right.
getting away from them and just being able to at least be in my own space and being like, look, if they not, for lack of a better word, if they not fucking with me, then they ain't fucking with me. Like that's what it
Right.
is.
There you go.
And I just keep it moving. I keep it pushing. So yeah.
But they love you, so they probably fucking with you.
Right.
But like, but and if they're still fucking with you, but then don't accept you, because that's my problem at the moment. With my father, if
Well, yeah, I didn't
see
say
if they're
see.
still
Yeah.
if they still try to fuck with you, but then don't accept who you are or the boundaries that you have set in place, you gotta be like, well, I ain't fucking with you. Like,
Mm.
I know you want this
Boundaries.
relationship, but if you can't grow, I gotta let you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Agree.
That's
Yeah.
real
We
talk.
can't just have this relationship on
Hmm.
your terms.
Hmm.
There are new terms in place. This is a new generation. I'm a little different. So there are new terms in place. And can you abide, or can you agree to these terms?
Hmm. What's so interesting about that,
That
boundary thing is that I've always, that's part of the fear that I had. Even like when I came out or when I told people that I was gay, I still had that fear of like maybe they won't, you know, be my friend, or maybe they would just still have like this boundary set up or this blockade, and because of my sexuality, especially with other straight men. But what I came to realize, because I ran track in college, so I was surrounded by a lot of straight men. All my
That
roommates were
tail.
like that. Like it was
Some of that
the energy.
tail.
Frankie, shut up. I wasn't gonna say
Hell
it.
yeah, I'm gonna
You said
say it.
what?
Yeah, that tail. He saw all that tail running around.
He's so fine.
He was
He's
like,
so
"That's why I'm in
fine.
track to run after this ass."
Uh-uh.
He's like, actually, I had a scholarship, but
I'm not mad at you. Them boys was
Girl,
fine.
stop. We are Stop it.
Them
Stop.
boys
Stop.
was
Let him
fine.
continue talking. We are not gonna
Oh
objectify
my
Kendrick.
god!
Oh,
I
I was
appreciate
just
the compliment. I received
indulging.
that. I receive it. Thank you.
I always think of him. He's so cute. He is just so
But
beautiful.
that was a fear of mine, and what I realized though is that they didn't care. They did not care. It was the total opposite. It was like, KD, bro, like. But I think at that point in time, they knew who I was. You know what I'm saying? They knew my character, and that's kind of another thing that I always bring with me, along um with my pride of being queer. So it's like I always bring my character, I always bring my work, and I never shy away from letting people know I'm a gay black man, because there are other Julias out there, there are other people like me out there who need that guidance. You know,
Julias and Julios.
yes, see.
Hmm.
So it's like if I can have a platform and have a voice, I believe that can essentially, hopefully, it's inspirational to somebody else. So, you know,
Hmm.
I'm always, those are the things I bring with me, and I'm always rooting for my community. So,
Yeah, that's why it's so important to hear a different version of the
mhm,
same story. There isn't just one story. The danger of a single story is a real
mhm,
thing. That's a real thing, and representation is so important because seeing someone on stage or seeing someone in film or seeing someone hearing somebody on a podcast or whatever,
Hmm.
seeing someone act out who they are fully and you can identify with them helps you say, you know what, if they could do it, damn, maybe I can too. Like for me, to answer your question, Kyra, like it was very difficult for me to decide I'm going to leave my family and do my own thing. What happened for me was that I constantly saw a pattern. You know, I constantly saw a pattern of we're okay, we're not okay, we're okay, we're not okay, we're okay, we're not okay. But the parts where we weren't okay were because of decisions that people were making in the family that just weren't conducive to anybody but that person,
Mm.
if I'm being honest. And so when I saw that we were on the up, just like Millie, I left when we were on the up because I was like, you know what? While we good, I'm leaving because right now she's straight. She has a job. She can provide for the family. She doesn't need my income. I'm gonna go, and I left. But I'll tell you what: when I left, I never mentally or emotionally left. Physically, I was gone. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I was still bound because no matter what happened, I still saw myself as someone who, if I wasn't with this family, or if I wasn't with my family, then I didn't have like the blessings of God, the protection of God, because I was outside of His will because I wasn't with them. So it was very difficult for me to think that I could have peace outside of being with my family. And so it took many, many years. I'm 38. It took many, many years for me to realize, like, you know what? If y'all can have a relationship with God or the universe or whatever you call it, then I can too. And if He's going to take care of you, then He's going to take care of me too. And it was like a trial and error kind of thing. And I spent a lot of years really worried about what bad things could happen because I wasn't with them. And then finally, I decided, like, you know what? Fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. I'm going to survive whatever happens. And things didn't happen so badly. The worst part, I will say, was that I lost my family for a little bit of time. Like they weren't speaking to me, you know. I mean, I heard everything. I was called every name in the book. I heard everything. But I was just, and it felt really, really lonely and scary and isolating and terrible. But I knew that I felt better not being there. And so after some time, what ended up happening was I garnered some respect. Like, then they started asking me for help for shit, like guidance on certain things. You know what I mean? And then I realized, like, you know what? What changed for me after some time was like I realized, oh, this is who I am in the family. Because for a little while, I felt like I was in shit. Like I left and I didn't mean anything to them. All I meant was like the help, right? Whatever the help was, financially or whatever. And then I left and it was like we didn't have relationship anymore. And after some time I realized that they missed me because they called me and stuff like that. And then I realized that I was instrumental. I was, I was somebody who was loved in the family or whatever. And then it wasn't until many, many years later that they decided, like, oh, you know what? We don't know what she really does for a living. Ain't that some shit? We don't really know what she does for a living,
Mhm.
but because it benefits us in this way, maybe we should find out or maybe we should explore that more. And then they got to know me on a different level. So that garnered a different level of respect. And for me, it was like, I wasn't wrong. All this time I wasn't wrong. But it took a long time because I'm the kind of person who will beat herself up for a long time. And you know what I mean? I'm hard on myself. But there are people who are not like that. Rosa, not Rosa, excuse me. Marta gets on to me all the time because I'm always apologizing if I like I miss a cue or miss a line. I'm like, I'm sorry. And she's like, stop, say sorry. And I'm like, damn, okay.
I'm with you on that. I get on my friend about that. What you
Look, I
But
say
say?
it.
yeah, but I
I
grew
say it with
up
love.
apologizing for
Women do,
everything.
and
I apologize for
especially
everything.
Latino women.
Everything.
Like what you?
hmm Doing things for myself, getting things wrong, whatever it was.
Mm-mm.
Like you just apologize. You just constantly apologize. And it's almost like your barometer is based on whatever their barometer is. And it's like, I can't move forward. I can't move past that because they haven't set the standard or what standard they have set I haven't met or I've exceeded. So if I'm not there, whether I've exceeded it or I'm below it, if I'm not where their standard is, I'm fucked up. Excuse my language, but yeah, I was hoping that this could be a cleaner episode since I talked to Kendrick about us
I was like, why you
about us promoting
apologizing
this
for
episode,
cussing?
but I mean it's just
Have you been
real.
cussing? I'm like, huh?
No, no.
What we
I
doing
don't
here?
usually I don't usually apologize. I do a
Yeah,
lot of
I
And
was
cussing
like,
on this
huh?
on this podcast, but
Like,
and
get
every
lost.
This is kinked as
and
fuck.
every time I'm like, stop apologizing, I
facts.
say it with love and understanding. I
You
suffer
do.
from the same syndrome along with the yes syndrome. It's always, oh sure,
Mm.
yeah, I can do that, and oh I'm sorry, and
Overexerting yourself.
I'm like,
Can't do it.
Lord, and I can hear my ancestors going, why are you apologizing for? To who? For whom? And I'm like, you're
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
I'm not sorry. I haven't done anything
Um,
that garners an apology. I'm existing in the world
Yeah.
as I am, and that should be enough for
Mhm.
everyone involved.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think if we're talking about faith, I just felt like if you are very adamant about your faith, then the God that you say you serve can't be talking to you more about me than he is to me. One, and two, like if he's gonna protect you, then isn't he gonna also protect me? And so I spent many times when I moved out the first time, I spent many days, weeks, months, maybe years picturing myself going up the steps and the steps just turning into a slide where I couldn't get it back up into my apartment. I pictured myself walking up to my apartment and my apartment door being kicked in. I pictured things happening that were like, I mean, it was literal PTSD from feeling like I'm nothing unless I'm with them, and then having to figure out who I was throughout the process. And then Millie just gives like this voice where like my family is coming to see the show. Let's be real, they're coming to see the show, and I've talked to them about many things, but in the way that Millie presents herself, I didn't do that. You know what I mean? And so Millie's gonna basically share a message that I didn't particularly share. So thank you, Rosa, and thank you, Marta. But at the same time, it's a little daunting because it's like, ooh, this is real. And on the other side of that, there are other feelings. So it's like you made your decision, but there are other feelings, like baby has feelings because of you leaving. You know what I mean? Milagro still felt you leaving the mom. She still felt your absence, whether she cares about you or fucks with you or not, heavy or not, she still felt it. You know what I mean? And Julia's over here like, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to be you, but I also don't want to be here, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to kind of come up with our last question, to kind of wrap us up for today. And I want to pose this question to our three guests. Rose, I want to end with you. But I want, if you could sum up in one word, I guess, what is the one thing that you need? What is the superpower, I guess, that you need to break the curses in your life? So for our audience members, what are those things? What is the one thing that they need in order to break the curse of their family, or break the curse of whatever it is that they are going through or working through? I'll give you a little tiny second. And then Kevin, I'm gonna start with you, and then Martha, and then Rosa. I said Kevin. Your name is not Kevin. Your name is Kendrick. Who is Kevin? I don't know.
Ah! Ah! She tired. She tired, y'all.
It was the first day of school
She
today. I'm
is. She
sorry.
been doing her thing.
She needs to go to
Go
bed.
ahead.
What's
It's
that
all
boy
right,
name?
mama.
Kevin. Come over here, Kevin.
Kendrick. Ken.
Ah!
Kendrick.
Kendrick, whenever you're ready.
You're muted, babe. You're
You're
muted.
Oh,
muted.
My bad. Okay, here we go. Can y'all hear me now?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But I would say the first key or the first thing that I feel someone should have in order to break the curse. Now, this is just the first one, but I think it's awareness. I think
Mm.
once you become aware of a problem, issue, curse, your sexuality, whatever it is, once you become aware, I think that is very important because then you build on top of there. Now, because what happens next, and Marta, you may carry on to follow up with that, but what happens next is very important, right? Because you got to take the action, whatever it is. But
Once you
awareness,
see
it
it, you
all
can't
starts with
unsee it.
being aware, for sure. You can't unsee it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Ooh,
That
that's good
Amen to
part.
too.
that.
Martha.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, a word. I think awareness is a great one, and I like. It's not a word, more a phrase. Follow your instincts. Trust yourself. Your spirit, your soul, your whatever energy you want to call it, whatever you call it, knows when you are in the right place, where you are with the right people. The vibrations will tell you when it's right, when it's wrong. Like, trust yourself. And trust, sorry, that's my cat, y'all. I'm sorry. She was going to make an appearance, like, at one point or the other. She's right down there. Um, But yeah, I am someone who believes in energy and vibrations, and your soul knows when you are in the wrong place. When that thing we call instincts, that thing we call like a knowing, listen to it, trust it, because it'll tell you 9 times out of 10 if you are where you're supposed to be. And before we move to Rosa, I just want to like thank you for, because I know Miss Teresa offered this to me and that you talked before you talked with me, but thank you for putting this beautiful story into words. And I'm grateful that I have been allowed by the universe to help put it on stage and make it come through these amazing actors in this cast and production team. I can't wait for you to be here and meet everyone. And I am so grateful to you for that and for this and this opportunity to just share the best through the Puerto Rican lens. Like yo no
Well, I'm
quepo
gonna.
dentro de mí.
On that
So
note, first of
thank
all,
you.
thank you for that. But on that note, I'm gonna confess something that I want to make sure that I
Aw.
acknowledge this. But it's so funny. Mentioned I was born and raised in Brooklyn to Peruvian and Cuban parents. I'm not even Puerto Rican. Yeah, yeah. No, wait for it. Wait for it. Yeah. So
What? The-
what's crazy about
In
this, I
Spanish.
think that Rosa in 2022, having done the anti-racism work that I'm doing now and all of the things that I know now, I would never have written this story exactly the way it was. Probably wouldn't be called Curse of the Puerto Ricans. Uh, because that's not, now I have that awareness of like, this isn't my story to tell, right? But I have such a love and the opposite exists in New York City where there is nothing but Puerto Ricans everywhere you go. So I grew up around Puerto Ricans. I went to a Pentecostal Puerto Rican church. I married a Puerto Rican. There was not a Cuban nor a Peruvian to be found in my childhood. So I wrote what I knew, right? And I don't think I would write it now, but I did put in my own experiences because I still think that is applicable, and my husband's experiences. But I wanted to talk about that because I think it's important to talk about that and just making sure that we're writing from we're being responsible about the stories that we're telling and how we're telling them. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to maneuver that moving forward. But to go back to the question that Kira had. I think that the word that I would use is self-love. I think that is one of the hardest
Mm.
things to do when you're having a conversation about family, and especially as people of color, you're taught to always put yourself second. You're taught to be sort of the sacrificial lamb. Women are, I mean, from the time we're born, we're taught to put
Mm-hmm.
ourselves second, third, fourth, whatever it takes, as long as everyone else is taken care of. Um,
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then when you talk
Black,
about
Hispanic, other.
your
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about your family in a negative light, everybody always says, "Oh, but that's it doesn't matter. That's your mom, that's your dad, that's your sister. It doesn't matter." Yeah, yeah, right. And then
We owe them a level of
that's in the blood.
respect.
No, but but I was like seeing this TikTok the other day, and it's like, yeah, you've only got one mom, you've only got one dad. I've only got one me, and that's what no one fucking says. I've only got one me.
Yeah, that part.
That's it.
And to
Yeah.
that,
That
since
part is crucial. That part is important.
right?
Somebody
That's
Yeah.
the
has to
other
be
thing. It's
born.
like as a parent, I'm definitely like, my kids can be douchebags sometimes, but I'm like, they didn't ask to be here, so I have to be good to them. I have to be kind, and but yeah, just to since we're being potty mouthed in this episode, and we're going also well, yeah. When you Kendrick, when you were talking about that, it's like, yeah, do you fuck with me? It's like my thing is when it comes to having relationships with my family and the way that they treat me, if they treat me badly, my new thing is if you don't give a shit, I don't give a fuck. That's where I'm with it. That's where I have to be with it. Why? Because I'm gonna put me
There you
first.
go.
I have
Real
to.
life.
I was all over the place. I
Mm-hmm.
apologize.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm about to say no, but it
Amazing.
was perfect
No,
because
no,
I
it
was like,
So,
that's the
was. It's
sound bite
good.
for the episode. If
yeah,
you don't fuck with me, fuck you.
Girl,
there you
Like,
go.
fuck you. Don't give a shit.
So
Don't give
I
a
know
fuck.
Kyra is gonna wrap us up, and I just want to say I'm super, super, super grateful that the three of you were able to join us. I know that Rosa, this was not easy for you. For 2 weeks, you were
I was
trying to figure out how the
I was
hell,
all
when,
day in the
airport,
airport.
flight, moving,
I was
husband,
all
what,
day.
voice lost. I don't know what. She literally went through everything before she could record this episode with us. So I really appreciate you all taking the time. Kendrick, Marta, thank you so much for everything that you're doing to promote this show, to direct it, to promote it, to just make sure that it's out there and visible. For those of you who would love to see the show, which I know you do, come on, really, come on, seriously. We open on Saturday the 13th. There is a preview night on Thursday the 11th. However, this episode, by the time this episode airs, we will have already had our opening. And so just don't delay, hurry because the tickets are going pretty quickly. Like I said, Puerto Ricans are very happy that we're more visible. So they're buying these tickets by bulk,
I have
like
families
in
coming
bulk, like for
from
real.
not
Like
bulk.
Tulane. I have people coming
hello,
from
my
Tulane. Yeah.
job literally bought bulk tickets. Like
Wow.
so just make sure that you guys check out Bishop Arts
Bishop
District.
Arts Theater.
I'm sorry, Bishop Theater Center. Help
I
me
got
out,
you.
Bishop
Kendrick.
Arts Theater
Bishop
Center.
Arts Theater Center.
You don't even know where you work.
Right? Bishop Arts Theater Center. Get your tickets. We have Saturday and Sunday matinees. I would love to see you. If you happen to catch the show, leave a comment. Make sure that you follow and review us and all of those things. And Kyra's gonna wrap us up in the most professional and wonderful way that she does. I'm gonna shut up now.
Yeah, again, thank you for coming. Kendrick, if you would like to, add in a more concise version of where to find tickets and where people and how long
Yes,
y'all are
please
running,
help.
that would be great.
Yes, it's definitely. You can find tickets on our website at www.bishopartstheater.org. And yeah, y'all get them soon. Go
And what
ahead
are
and
the
get
run
those
dates?
tickets.
We're
Oh, the
running
rates. So in between $20 to $30 for tickets.
No,
Just
the
depending on
run,
what day.
The
what
date.
days, the dates
The
of the
dates.
show.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said
I was like, that's an odd thing to say.
Right.
How
No,
much
go
is gonna
ahead.
cost?
I mean, somebody needs to know. But
Can you take $5?
from August the 11th to August 28th. So
Okay,
the last
August
day will be on
11th.
August 28th. I also would like to add that we'll have food trucks for every Saturday that the play will be showing Puerto Rican food, and then we'll also be having those artists showcased in the gallery. So we're gonna have like a whole experience
man.
here, you know?
Okay, so I'm coming on a Saturday.
I'm
Cool.
trying to buy some of
Rosa,
that
we'll have
artwork.
that bunny. We'll
Right,
have
I
Let's
that
need
bunny
that.
go.
blasting at the pre-show and after.
Guys,
Yo soy de P
I did
fucking
it.
R.
My
Oh,
friends
sorry.
want
Do
to
a
go
Bad
to a
Bunny
club and
concert.
dance
Okay.
to Bad Bunny. That's all I've ever wanted.
It's happening.
Let's
Yes.
go.
It's happening. It's on the pre-show list. It's on the post-show list. It's happening.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love all of that. All of the things.
I love
So
this.
thank you so much for joining us. If anybody would like to get in contact with us, you could reach us at info@kinkdaf.com. That's info at KINKDAF.com. And I am Kyra. You can find me at Kyra Haley on Instagram and Facebook, KHIRAHAILEY. Crystal.
And it's your girl, Crystal. And you can find me on Instagram at KYTO6. That's KTO6. Mika.
I'm Mika. You can find me at Bronxtress. That's BRONXTRESS on Instagram.
Don't even know.
Guys, it's late. I've had some
She don't know
wine.
her
It's the
Instagram
evening
again.
time. Hello. Y'all go ahead. Frankie?
It's the last time you're having wine. $5 fine, bitch. Nah, sugar. You can find me at Frankie Does Comedy with an IE.
Okay.
I'm gonna pass the mic to Kendrick. I was gonna spit bars, but it's too late, nigga. It's too late.
Don't.
No bars. We're
Don't.
Uh,
good.
you,
Tired.
can, you can find me on Instagram. My at name is at MMAXXE
Okay.
Max.
And then Marta.
Y'all can find me as Dr. Marta TT13, and that's DRMARTATT13. That's me.
Period.
She said put some respect on her name. She's a doctor, okay?
That's right, doctora. Okay,
And the
doctor.
lovely Miss Rosa.
Rosa.
You can find me on Instagram. I am at Rosa_creates_. And then I also have a YouTube plant channel that I don't post on anymore, but you can follow me at Drunken Homemaker.
Yes,
That-
drunken
Drunken
sounds
homemaker.
hilarious.
Looking it up now.
Yes. All right.
Sounds like
All
my
right, y'all. Are
vibe.
we ready for this?
I
Let's
love
try
it.
this. Let's get this. And we're
We're
Kink'D.
Kink'D as
We're gonna get
fuck.
it together one day. All right.
Nah, I
Got it. That was good.